I want to talk about what's going on with your blood on diets because I get those questions like, do you eat for your blood type, blood tests, glucometers, continuous glucose meters? Let's talk about it. I'm waiting for you guys to come to the chat a little bit. I know people on the replay, you can fast forward this part. Let me get myself situated. While I'm waiting for people to come into the chat, I just want to give you a life update that I will be leaving to my new property next week. A lot of you who are just finding me may not know that I actually come from Hollywood, Titanic Ship, California. And when you come in the chat, say hello. Love to see you. I literally I was bored before I even left. But then this nonsense happened a couple years ago. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. Well, actually, I got my horse before that. Got a horse. I was like trying to get close to the earth, trying to change my body chemistry. I knew that living in the middle of a city and a lot of cars, all that stuff was messing with my chakras. Okay. So now I'm going to Tennessee after living in Texas over a year. Now I see you guys coming into the chat. Yes, thank you, Chaya. I am almost out of Texas. I really want to encourage people. I want to say this too before I start talking about blood. I watch people get triggered in the comment section. And yes, I do read all the comments. I may not have time to get to them all, but I read them. And aloha. And somebody was saying, like, complaining about my generalizations and, like, with, let's say, with fasting, or fasting really works for me, you're just always generalizing everyone. I was like, I've never generalized everyone with anything. I just said don't believe in anything that anyone says until they actually map things out and show you something you can sink your teeth into. Okay, let's do this. Should see my whole studio set up at the auto shop. Jaya says, like up the stream. Okay. Now, people have asked me, is it such a thing to eat for your blood type? Like, O negative or O positive. Out of everyone who has come to me with different types of blood, no one has fared better out of the thousands of people. And people often ask me, like, where'd you get your information from? I'm like, it's just the people I work with. And with the numbers that I've pulled through over the years, like 6,000 people. Now, the people I've had consultations with, it's so funny. They're like, wow, I'm one of the numbers now. I'm like, yeah, they're all the time. And I learned so much about the individual. I also get questions of people wanting me to answer the weirdest questions. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, context is everything. You can't broad stroke most things in life. Like, all diets are bad. Like that. I mean, some things you can broad stroke, like being a DICK. Cheating on a bag of vinegar pork rinds. Well, if you have histamine, that would be a problem. All right, so I've never seen anybody fare better because they've read one of these books to eat for your blood type. Out of the thousands of people that I've worked with, and some of them, or a portion of them, have tried to do that, they never get better. And that is the reason why I say it doesn't work. We are very similar, unless you've got like a gene mutation, or somebody yesterday or day before was talking about the gene mutation called APO4, and these people have a hard time utilizing their saturated fats. Well, animal fats are not just saturated, they're also mono and poly. Some of them have more mono, some of them have more poly, like birds, and some of them have more saturated fats. Pigs have a lot of mono, but they also have a lot of poly. But I digress. What I'm trying to say is, move over here a little bit. There we go. Fabulous. What I'm trying to say is I need to take this little waistband off because it's tugging on my side. It's my 80s hip sack, but I love it. Okay. Until somebody shows me that eating for your blood type is a thing, hey son, Gram, don't follow these things. We're very similar as humans, even though we're very different, but we're more alike than we are different. Now, people who are eating, for example, who are European, who are more heavily meat-based or red meat-based, I haven't seen that exactly come to fruition as well. I'm going to do my own little study about that. But just as a matter of, if you're European, why would you be eating a lot of fruit that's subterranean tropical? Your lineage didn't grow up eating all of that, so why would you? Something to think about. Now, I'm going to go, I'm going to plug in this so it's plugged in better. Also, sorry guys, I just rushing to do this whole thing. 1 sec. Okay. I have everything plugged into one outlet and my phone was not charging. So, somebody else is from Sweden. Paru, Rahat. Hey. Oh, damn it. I can't answer because I can't. It's a 1-800 number. I don't know who's calling me. Okay. Okay, so eating for your ethnicity might make a little bit more sense than the eating for your blood type. Although what I've noticed as modern humans, it kind of doesn't matter. Fans watching. Så var du född på Sverige och kom du från Iran eller en annat land? I alla fall, okay. So, like, we're not supposed to be eating avocado every day or broccoli every day. We just would never do that in nature. So you gotta like weigh out the pros and cons. A variety of food is going to create a variety of bacteria to help populate the gut. And we have to look at food a little bit more close up rather than grabbing something, throwing it in your mouth and running out the door, which is what a lot of people do, especially in the US, because they're so busy. I want to talk about the thyroid blood testing. Now I'm going to talk to Katie again. We're going to go do the deep dive on it. But I want to remind you guys that the thyroid testing is really crappy. A lot of these general practitioners will do a thyroid stimulating hormone test, a TSH. Most people who are actually really hypothyroid will test normal, which is bananas. A lot of people will test normal. They'll walk out the door, and in every consultation I have, they'll say things like, "Oh, I'm fine. My testing is fine, and my numbers are within range." And I'm like, "No, do a full panel and do them twice. Do at least twice or 3 times 6 weeks apart. Full panel." But with that said, most of the people that I consult have a thyroid problem. How I know is their symptomology beyond blood. I catch people with odd thyroid symptoms. Like Katie, I interviewed Katie, and she was just like, my feet were swelling. I was just like jittery inside. She felt like not anxious, but just like crawling out of her skin. Like the weird symptoms that hyper, but she was hyper and hypo and would flip between the two. Um, you have depression, you get really dry skin, especially on your legs, patchy hair on your legs if you're a guy or a woman. Eyebrows start thinning, especially the corners of them. Beyond the hair shedding, constipation. People don't think that they're constipated because they can poop every day. I'm like, if you've got this hitting the toilet, if you've got nuggets hitting the bowl, if you're not completely emptying out the bowels, then you're constipated. Um, so be careful for those TSH tests. People ask me what blood tests should they get. I like the sex hormonal reproductive panel blood testing. It's like my favorite. It's a little bit more objective than the thyroid testing, but all blood tests can change within 2 days. So be careful of that. Yes, Graham saying testing normal does not mean healthy. And that's a whole another level of blood testing in humans, that the ranges for humans today are sick is considered, like quasi sick is considered healthy. So everybody's walking around with a blood sugar of like 99, 101, and or A1C of 5.6, and the doctors will go, well, you're healthy. And I'm like, that's not healthy. You want blood sugar and A1C between like, well, if you're on keto, it should be around a 4 point, probably like 4.4 to maybe a 5.0. But people are in the mid or upper fives and they're still calling that healthy. So be careful for that type of blood testing. Daniel, I'll get to your question. Sounds like he's got severe electrolyte issues. Now, let's talk about, okay, so the sex reproductive hormonal panel, I really love that because I want to see if men, if their total testosterone is low. I want to know where their estrogen is at. I also want to know if their dihydrotestosterone is high, because that'll show an indication of your blood sugar, your issues, your health status, definitely. Let's talk about the blood sugar test, the blood, for people who are like, the thing is that people don't understand